the hollow ones. I used to be a skeptic. I didn't believe in ghosts, demons, curses, or any of the things people whispered about in online forums or late-night documentaries. I believed in facts, science, rational explanations. That's what made me perfect for the job. I was part of a research team sent to investigate unusual geological activity in a remote village in Eastern Europe. The village was so small it didn't appear on most modern maps, a place swallowed by woods, lost in fog. The locals called it Draxer, which roughly translated to Little Devil. We weren't the first team sent there. The first team disappeared. Not all at once. One by one, over several weeks. The organization that hired us, a private tech research company with interests in underground energy sources, didn't publicize the loss. Too damaging. Too expensive. So they buried it. And they sent us instead, under the guise of a fresh geological expedition. We were 7, myself, the lead geologist, 2 tech specialists, a linguist, a biologist, a medical officer, and a drone operator. We had top-tier gear, full satellite coverage, and enough supplies to last a month. Everything was accounted for. Everything but what we were about to find. From the moment we entered Draxer, something felt off. The air was thick, too still. The trees leaned inward like they were listening. And the locals, they didn't speak to us. Not really. They would glance, nod stiffly, and then shut their doors. Only one old man spoke freely, a hunched figure with cloudy eyes who muttered something strange to our linguist. "Don't go underground," she translated, uneasy. "That's where the hollow ones sleep." We thought it was folklore, superstition, but it stayed with us, those words, the hollow ones. We set up camp in the forest, near a rock formation that supposedly covered a deep network of unexplored caves. The drone scans confirmed vast caverns below. The readings were off the charts, pockets of heat, strange magnetic fluctuations, even structural anomalies that didn't align with natural formations. On the 3rd day, we found the entrance. It was hidden beneath twisted roots, sealed with a stone slab covered in symbols. The linguists tried to identify them, but they didn't match any known language. They weren't even carved, they were scorched into the rock, like burns. That night, something screamed in the woods. Not an animal, not human, something in between. It echoed for what felt like minutes, long after we'd stopped breathing. We took shifts after that. No one wanted to sleep. The next morning, the slab was moved. There were no footprints, no marks in the soil, but the entrance gaped open like a wound. We should have turned back. We should have reported it and left, but curiosity is a poison, and we drank deep. Inside, the walls were unnaturally smooth. No tool marks, no weathering, just clean black stone that seemed to swallow light. We went in maybe 200 meters before we found the first chamber. It wasn't a cave. It was a room. Perfectly shaped, with sharp corners and a flat ceiling. At the center stood a structure, an altar, we thought, covered in dust and dried residue that looked disturbingly like blood. Around the altar were bones, human bones, hundreds of them, some small, too small. Our medic vomited. The linguist began whispering again, trying to read a set of markings on the wall. She grew quiet, then pale. Then she said one word. They were names. The walls were covered in them. Thousands, etched in strange looping script, and as she read, she said she felt them. Not just words, presences, as if each name had left behind a piece of something. We left the cave. We agreed to document, not disturb. That night, she didn't speak. She just sat outside the tents, staring into the forest. Her lips moved. I listened once. She was repeating names. Names we hadn't seen. She disappeared the next day. Gone. No sign of struggle, no tracks, just her boots, perfectly placed at the edge of the cave. And that was the beginning of the end. The days that followed blurred together. Our biologist claimed the trees were moving, not swaying, moving, changing positions, getting closer. He tried to mark one, and when he returned an hour later, the mark was gone. The tree was gone. Then our medic started hearing things. Children laughing, a woman sobbing, whispers in a language she didn't know but understood. We thought it was stress, isolation, maybe a gas pocket in the cave. But tests showed nothing. Air quality was fine. Until the biologist found the fungus. It grew along the cave walls in spiral patterns, black and fibrous, but dry to the touch. Under the microscope, it had no cells, no structure. It was hollow, just like the name. That night, our drone operator went into the cave alone. We found footage on his handheld later. He walked through corridors none of us had seen before. Perfect walls, strange lights that weren't from his gear, and chanting. Deep, low chanting that seemed to echo from inside the rock. He turned a corner and screamed. Then the feed cut to static. We found his body near the altar. His eyes were gone. Not removed, missing, no sockets. Just smooth, pale skin where they had been. After that, no one wanted to go near the cave. But it didn't matter, because the cave came to us. The forest changed. Trees twisted into shapes that shouldn't exist. Our compass spun uselessly. The sun set at noon. Shadows moved the wrong way. We heard breathing beneath our tents. The hollow ones, we realized, weren't just in the cave. They were everywhere now. They were awake. I tried to radio for help, but the signal was gone. Our tech guy said something was blocking it. Not jamming, absorbing it. One night, I awoke to find my tent unzipped. Standing over me was a tall, pale figure in a black shroud. It had no face, just a blank stretch of skin. But I could feel it looking at me. It didn't move, just stood, watching. Then it whispered. It didn't use a voice. It whispered in thoughts. Let us in. I blacked out. When I woke, the others were gone. Only the tech guy remained. He was carving symbols into his arms with a rock, whispering that the names were growing louder, that they were inside him now, that we never should have come here. I ran through a forest that no longer made sense, trees that bled, ground that pulsed. I found the village, or what was left of it, burned, empty, abandoned long before we ever arrived. We'd been lied to. The village was bait, and we were fed to something older than time. I kept running until I collapsed. When I woke, I was in a hospital. A man in a dark suit stood beside me. He didn't smile, didn't introduce himself, just asked what I saw. I told him everything. He nodded once and said, "You weren't supposed to come back." Then he walked out. The research company doesn't exist anymore. Erased. No records, no files. Everyone I knew from the mission, gone. But sometimes I still see them. In reflections, in dreams, standing in doorways that weren't there before, whispering names I never knew I knew. And last night, I found a mirror in my apartment. It wasn't mine. But when I looked inside, he was there. Smiling.